I think this is the dumbest thing. One of the dumbest things I've seen them do.
Tell me how you really feel.
I just don't understand it. Well, hello everybody and welcome to the show. My name is Jared Lee and I'm joined as usual by my lovely wife, Jamie Lee. So Jamie, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Jared. How are you?
I'm good. Hopefully everybody had a great Memorial Day weekend though. We had a busy weekend. We went to Disney for one night. Mm-hmm. We did go over to Universal, check out the tribute store, and then you did
the Wild Africa Trek.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about next week.
Yeah, so that's next week on the agenda. Mm-hmm. And then we stayed at a new hotel we will talk about as well. Not today, but a future episode we will talk about. And then we had a friend's birthday party, and it felt like we were there for 3 nights, but we were there for 1. It was a bunch we
did a lot of stuff.
Yeah, we fit in. We did a Skyliner crawl, which will be on a vlog coming up. So we got a drink at all the places on the Skyliner.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was fun. And then we came back and we spent all day at the beach on Memorial Day.
Well, we came back and then we went to the pool. And then later that night, we went over to our friends for a while. And the next day was the beach all day. And by some Monday night, I was wiped.
I was going to say, Tuesday came along and I was like, I need a break. And I was like, wait, that was the break. So
that was it.
Yeah. So hopefully everybody had a good Memorial Day. Ours was full of stuff, but fun and good. And I suppose now that I guess it's the kickoff to summer, I suppose.
It sure is.
As they say. I don't know. Anyways.
They do.
It's
they
going
do
on.
Say
the people have said that is the case. I don't always listen, but.
Yes, that is the unofficial kickoff to summer.
Because when does summer actually start?
June 21st, around there.
Okay.
I mean, that's the first official. That's like the summer solstice. So, yeah.
Right. Okay. But yes, we had a nice but busy weekend, and I'm hoping future weekends can be a little more relaxed and chilled because that would be kind of nice.
It would be kind of nice.
Just to hang out and just, what are you doing tomorrow? I have no idea. That'd be kind of, one of those things. But one day those will happen.
That'll never happen.
It'll happen one of these days. But yeah, so we do have some news we're going to talk about today, including dining plan pricing was announced. We talked about a few weeks ago that the dining plan was announced to be coming back in 24. Now we have some pricing for that, so we're going to
do a deep dive is what we're going to do.
We're going to analyze it. We're going to talk about it. And then we're also going to talk about, we ate at a new restaurant, Shula's, over at the Swan and Dolphin Resort, which is, it's not new. It's new to us, but we had dinner there. And we figure we'll just review it a little bit because it's a place I think a lot of people may like. It depends on what you want to, how you want to eat when you're at Disney. But we will talk about that. But before we get to any of the news, we just want to mention if you are, going to go on a trip or looking for some comfortable theme park shirts or just shirts to wear around for whatever you're doing, you should check out our shirts at CTM Apparel. First off, we print on super comfortable shirts. So in our opinion, the most comfortable shirts that you will find, I'm a t-shirt snob, so these are very comfy cotton poly blend shirts that breathe, especially if you're going to be in the Florida heat. They're kind of nice to have in the summer. And we also have unique designs, like some of our new ones are the Super Mario Brothers plumbing shirt, the Peaches shirt, which seems to be kind of enjoyable that people like. Jamie and I are both wearing the same shirt apparently tonight on accident, which is the Big Thunder Mountain Railroad shirt. Harry Potter ones that people seem to enjoy, a lot of just the Disney theme park ones, Nintendo, all that stuff. So yeah, if you head over to ctmshirts.com, you can check out the entire collection. It's a great way to A, get some great shirts, but B, if you want to support the show, everything like that, that's a great way to do it that way as well. So again, go to ctmshirts.com, use the promo code podcast. It'll save you 15% on your first order, and you also get free shipping if you spend over $49 in the shop. So go check it out. All right, well, let's get to the news. So I guess the first news story we have is that 2024 Walt Disney World vacation bookings opened yesterday.
Yeah, shortly after 7 a.m., they actually paused it for a little bit, both bookings online and phone. So everybody kind of had to just halt for a few hours. But they resumed it like a few hours later, and there was like a long queue online especially to get in, and I'm sure the phone lines were long as well. But it looks like people are excited to book for 2024, so that's good.
Well, it seems to be the IT part kind of always seems to fall behind a little bit on these things. But
well, yeah. And like usually they are released in June. Usually. I mean, it's kind of been a little different since the whole pandemic stuff. But that's typically when they are released is usually June. So it's a little bit earlier than usual.
yeah.
But there's a lot more we found out about the bookings and stuff and pricing and everything. So,
Which we're going to talk about today.
Yeah.
One of the things that we found out from this is that some hotels that were previously on the list for early entry into the Disney World parks are no longer on the list for 2024. So what this was, you had early entry at select, obviously the Disney resorts, but select Good Neighbor hotels that you get into the parks 30 minutes early.
Yeah.
So, but some are not on that list now.
Right. The B Resort and Spa, Lake Buena Vista, Wyndham Garden Lake Buena Vista, Wyndham Lake Buena Vista, Signia by Hilton Orlando Bonnet Creek, Waldorf Astoria Orlando, and Drury Plaza Hotel Orlando Lake Buena Vista. Those were not on the list, but it is still a little far away. So maybe they just haven't, negotiated all that stuff, and they may be added to the list later. I don't know, but as of right now, those are not included in early theme park entry for the parks. So just FYI on that.
Yeah, I'm bummed to see our current off property favorite Jury Hotel is not on there, but
I have faith. I have faith that it'll come back on.
I
the
can
list.
see that, especially like a Waldorf Astoria. That's a nice one.
It's a nice one.
So
yeah.
So I would assume some of these will probably end up being on there, but I have no clue as to what goes into.
I don't either.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know any of that stuff, but we'll see if they get added. Hopefully they do.
Yeah.
So at least Jury. That's the one I've got my eye on. Anyways, another thing of news we found out, which is disappointing to say the least, is that we found out that park hopping restriction that is currently you cannot, go to a different park. If you have park hopper, you can't go till after 2:00, will stay through 2024.
Yeah. So we were hoping that with the changing to needing theme park reservations would change, that the park hopping would just be dissolved. Like you could still park hop, it'd be after 2 now, but we were hoping it would be like, okay, let's get rid of it altogether, or maybe at least change the hour that you could park hop. So it's still 2 p.m. or later. Disneyland, we had this discussion on Club 32 last night. Disneyland, it's 11 a.m. Can we just move it? Can we just move it a little bit? If we're going to keep those park reservations, if we're going to keep the park hopping restrictions, can the restrictions just start at like noon?
Right.
Like that is my thing. And I know it's a huge point of contention for Disney fans. And like, I feel like Disney's going through all these things that fans have had a problem with, or guests have a problem with, and they're slowly addressing them. But this one, they just really want to hang on to it. They just really
this one
do.
in the park reservation system. I'm telling you, they're just gonna just finger by finger. They don't want to let it go.
They don't want to let it go.
Yeah.
So, because we actually, I think a couple weeks back, we were talking about like, okay, are they going to get rid of park hopping? Well, no, it's still here. So again, there are many months in between here and 2024. So a lot of things could change, but that is just what Disney has said. And they just basically said, beginning January 9th, 2024, theme park reservations will no longer be required for date-based tickets. After guests enter the first park, guests will be able to visit the next park starting at 2 until each park's regularly scheduled closure. So that's official.
I think this is the dumbest thing. One of the dumbest things I've seen them do.
Tell me how you really feel.
I just don't understand it. Like, I know we've talked about it, and it's annoying to say the least. Like a lot of things, the park reservation system is a hassle. Mm-hmm. For instance, when we were there on, I'm losing track of which day. It was a Saturday.
It was Saturday.
We were going to go to Epcot, and we were just like, oh, let's switch it over to Hollywood Studios because we're going to go to the Skyliner there. So we had to pull over, change the reservations, and do all this stuff like that. And then we literally go into the park and leave immediately so that we can end up being able to go over to Epcot later.
Because you have to scan in, even
Right.
if you don't, do anything. You still have to scan in before you can hop over.
Right.
Silly.
It's just, it doesn't make any sense. I know the reasons they want to keep it, because they want to be able to, I'm sure they save tons of money on staffing and all these things like that. But this is going to be one of those things that they're going to be forced to get rid of it. And it's one of these things where they've created a unique selling position for their competitors with these things. The only people that have changed is Disney. So, for instance, we were like when we were going into Orlando, we're like, hey, let's stop by Universal just to go check out the tribute store because it's Jurassic Park themed. Guess what we had to do? Just show up and go. That was it. We didn't have to make a park reservation. We didn't have to do anything. We just parked. We went. We were there for 45 minutes and we left. It was super simple.
Yep.
And then you go over to Disney and it's all this extra hassle. And eventually, like, you run the risk of when you do these things. Disney has the market share to do it. Absolutely. No doubt. They still have demand there. And I'm not saying that they don't. What I'm saying is you run the risk of people eventually, like, you keep, people want these things back and you don't give it to them. And then eventually when you go, okay, we can have them back. And then you run the risk of at some point people just go, oh, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
And I can tell you from the contention, like we had a what do you want to call it, TikTok reel kind of go a little viral where we were talking about a few weeks ago with the whole what used to be free and what wasn't. And the comments are just full of people talking about all these things. And it's not people that hate Disney. It's people that have gone to Disney. There's like, you used to go to Disney 4 times a year, 5 times a year, and you'd hear different things, but a lot of people talking about the restrictions on the park reservation system and the park hopping. And it's just all these restrictions when you just want to go on a vacation. You just want to go and enjoy yourself. And you're stuck with, you can't do this because you don't have a reservation. You can't hop over here till 2 o'clock. You can't. So it's all these rules. And there's, other than them just wanting to be able to control where you go, there's no reason as to why this is there. This started with COVID. The whole reason the park reservation system was even put in place is because it was supposed to limit the amount of people that could be in a park because they didn't want to be overcrowded. But if you were in the parks during this time, if your argument that you were going to keep people safe from getting sick, that was laughable because you're walking around people constantly and bumping shoulders and everything. So the fact that this is even still around going into 2024, so 4 years later, is, I'm just going to say, it's just asinine. It really is. And they have the market share to do it. There's still demand, but I'm just saying, as time goes on, this is not going, I think this will just age badly. I think it'll just be one of those things where as their competition is increasingly getting stronger, and they, Universal doesn't have any of these sort of restrictions. And what I know, people, you bring up Universal and people get very contentious and think it's whatever. I'm just saying, Universal not doing it and being a good competition, if you want Disney to drop this stuff, that's good, because Disney eventually will do to competition. So, I mean, this is nothing that we haven't said before. It's just, I was shocked to see that they, going into 24, they're even keeping it whenever they're not going to require theme park reservations. So, like, what's even the point? Like, this one I don't get. What's even the point of it? Other than they just have this, they want to exert control over people. And again, I'm shocked because I really thought Iger would get rid of all this because this was all deemed a Chapek thing.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't yet. So.
And if you really wanted to win people back over, they'd just be like, Iger came in and wiped out all the bad Chapek stuff. But here they are defending it and wanting to keep it, which means they probably had this internally for a while wanting to do it. And this gave them the opportunity to do it. They're not going to let it go anytime soon.
Yeah. Perhaps.
All right. I'm not going to rant about it anymore.
Okay.
Just silly. Anyways. All right. Let's move on to
the dining plan.
At least we can break down something that, this will be informative other than me just ranting about park hopping here, is the dining plan.
Yeah.
So as we previously discussed, the Disney dining plan is returning in 2024. And now we do have pricing for it. So we're going to do a little bit of a deep dive into this, see what's included, and whether or not we personally think it is worth it or maybe worth it for certain families or situations.
Yeah, and we had done an episode about the dining plan. It's been years. It's been years since we've done it. And so this is a good refresher, but also a little bit different this year going into 2024. So I think this is a good time to talk about it. What do you think?
I would agree, since it's,
right.
I'm going to assume it's much more expensive.
Well, let's see. Let's see, shall we?
I'm going to say this as if I don't know, but I'm going to take a guess here. This is a game show. Is it more expensive now? You're like, I'm guessing.
All right. So the Disney dining plan pricing. This is I'll just call it the standard one. So adult pricing is $94.28 per night. Kids age 3 to 9 is $29.69 per night. In this package or in this dining plan, it includes per guest each night of your stay, 1 table service meal, 1 quick service meal, 1 non-alcoholic or alcoholic drink per meal, 1 selected snack or drink, and the resort refillable mug. Okay.
For the length of your stay.
This is per night.
So yeah, you get the refillable mug.
Sorry, yes, the refillable mug is for your length of stay. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay, so the 2024 Disney Quick Service Dining Plan is as follows. It's $57.01 per adult.
Got to get that penny.
For children, it's $23.83 per child, and it includes 2 quick service meals, 1 non-alcoholic or alcoholic drink per meal, 1 selected snack or drink, and the resort refillable mug. Okay, so first, now we got the pricing down for 2024. So kids in the 20 range, and I feel like those are good prices for kids. Wouldn't you say? I mean, kids don't need a lot in general.
Yeah, I was actually surprised. I figured the main one, it would be in the 30s. So they're close to it. They're
right.
$29.69, but it's still in the 20s. But yeah.
Right. The adults obviously are priced a little bit more, but I do want to look at the 2020 prices to compare.
Yes.
And to see kind of where we're coming from, because this is the first time it's returned since 2020. So this is the last pricing that we can see. For the Disney dining plan, that's the regular one. It used to be $78.01 per night for adults.
Ouch.
And $30.51 per night for children. As you can see, it went down in price for kids.
A little.
By $1. And it increased in price for adults by $16.
Right.
$16 more per adult for that. For quick service dining plan, it was $50 to $55 per night for adults and $26 per night for kids. Again, the kids' pricing went down $3.
The adults went up too.
The adult pricing, it went up. Let's see, I can't do the math. Oh, it was just $2.
Yeah, $2.
Yeah. So that's really good, right? A couple changes though this year. There used to be 2 snacks included. Now there's just 1 per night. There is no longer appetizer included with table service credits. That used to be part of it. Mm-hmm. You still get the dessert, you still get the entree and the drink, but no appetizer. And there's also no Disney Dining Plus or Deluxe Disney Dining Plan that has returned yet. So these are the only 2 options you can choose from. So what do we think about this pricing before we go any further?
Well, you're paying more and getting less, which has kind of been a trend as of late.
Right. And if you think about snacks, how much are they? If you average a snack at Disney, $6?
I feel like most are in the 5 to 6 range.
Okay.
Depending on what you get.
So they're saving that and also charging you more.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of people not having the appetizer is going to be a thing for them. Again, this is speaking from, we've never used the Disney dining plan because it just...
Yeah, I guess we should have said that.
It's never something that we felt like, at least for our family as it currently is, works out. Granted, our kids are little, so maybe, if you have older kids, it obviously makes maybe a little bit more sense.
And I do want to talk about that when we're done at the end, if it's worth it, because I have more thoughts about that, actually.
But if you're asking me if I'm surprised at this, that it's going to cost more and they took things away, I'm not. This is kind of the trend, this is the trend that Disney has had ever since COVID. And granted, they were on this trend to begin with before COVID happened, but definitely since COVID, it has definitely been when something does come back, it is in a lesser form than it was before, and you're going to pay more for it.
Unfortunately, that is true.
Yeah.
So, and the only thing that I will say, and I know this was present in 2020, is the presence of being able to get an alcoholic drink. So if you're an adult and you want to drink with your meals, I feel like that, it could be almost $20 for a drink. If you got a cocktail.
It could be, yeah.
That's, if you have if you have a quick service and a table service, that's $40 ish, $30 for drinks.
It definitely depends on how you use it, whether
Sure.
or not what you get out of it and things like that for sure.
But if let's say you're an 11-year-old adult, you know what I mean? Because you're an adult at 11 years old, obviously you're not going to get that alcohol. But some things I want to mention too, the restaurants that require 2 table service credits are Cinderella's Royal Table, Akershus, which I'm surprised about actually, Storybook Dining at Artist Point, Dinner at Be Our Guest, all of the Signature Dining Restaurant. That's not new. That's always a thing. Dinner shows like Hoop-de-Doo Review, and the private in-room dining at Grand Floridian. So, I mean, Cinderella's Royal Table doesn't surprise me. Be Our Guest, I know it's expensive. It kind of surprises me, maybe.
It doesn't really surprise me. That dinner has been very expensive since they did the way they've done dinner there.
Yeah, it's like if there's princesses there, you're going to get 2 table service credits.
The princesses, they're pricey gals.
And I didn't know this actually, but if the 2 quick service credits are required for pizza pickup, like at value resorts and some of the moderates.
That seems odd.
You get a large pizza and 2 single serving beverages.
Yeah.
Included with that. So that's just an FYI. So if you do want pizza on property, it's going to be 2 quick service credits, which seems like expensive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and some things to think about this too. Tips and gratuity are not included. So you still have to tip. Well, you just don't have to, but they're tips. That's something you have to think about, I suppose, but probably should tip.
Except for Cinderella's Royal Table and Hoop-de-Doo, because that's a prepaid meal.
And that's included in there, yeah.
Yeah.
So meals are non-transferable between party members and expire at midnight on day of checkout.
Which is interesting because, I mean, like, yeah, they're non-transferable, but if you're all eating together, like, you could just use somebody else's, right? Like,
that seems you've already paid for it. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is not on the list of available restaurants? Well, actually, before we do that, so when you're talking about, and this, we're just saying this because people hearing this may be a little confused.
Right.
So when you have a table service that requires 2 table service credits and maybe a quick service that requires 2 of them, and you're looking at you get 1 per thing, how do they just going to have to bank them to be able to use them?
So the way that I understand that it works is that you basically, the credits get loaded onto your account when you check in. So it's not like you just get
1 per meal,
1 every day, like it's added on.
You can use it.
It's just on your account.
It's like a bank account you've got, and you can spend it as quickly or slowly as you want.
That's how I understand it.
Yeah.
So
it's not that it makes any sense if it requires 2 table service credits and you only
Right.
have 1. I mean, you wouldn't be able to eat there if that was the case.
Absolutely. So that's kind of how it works. So if you wanted to use nothing for a day, it's fine. You can just use it the next day. Yeah.
Which, I mean, you used to see people do this all the time. You could tell when they were going to leave is because they all were trying to spend all their snack credits at a place.
Which is, I think, why they're not doing as many snack credits, because people were they had so many left over and they were just like getting all this stuff.
I mean, it could be, but at the same time too, people paid for it. And some people
but Disney can just take it away really, like, just
true.
real quietly,
I understand. But at the same time, like, I think people like a lot of people like the idea of banking things if they need it. Like, a lot of people don't want to spend it all up front. Now, I guess it depends on who you are. Some people may want to spend it all up front, and then toward the end of the trip, they're like, oh, we're out of credits, so let's pay out of pocket. And some people would rather just have that stuff built up, and then the worst case scenario before they leave, they spend them all before they go. So
right.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to sort of how you use it in that sense. But
yep.
But okay, let's talk about what is not on the list of available restaurants.
Okay, so I was looking through it all and I was seeing. So Joffrey's is not included. You're going to have to pay out of pocket for that one. California Grill, interestingly enough, wasn't on the list. Again, this is not an end-all be-all list. I mean, they could add to it. They could take it away until it actually starts. But these are some notable ones that I saw. Mm-hmm. California Grill's not. I don't know if it's because it's a prefix menu.
It could be.
But Be Our Guest is a prefix menu. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Space 220, not on the list. STK at Disney Springs, and then Monsieur Paul and Chefs de France in France and at Epcot. Those are some of the notable ones I saw.
Okay.
Interesting about those. Again, list could change, but if you're going to eat at those, you're going to have to pay out of pocket.
At least as of now.
As of now.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
But yeah, so.
Okay. Well, let's get into this. We've gone over the pricing and everything like that. So I suppose we could hit the pros and cons, and then we can talk about whether or not we think it's worth it or not. So the pros of this would obviously be you pay all front before you're leaving. We've talked about before. Yeah, we talked before having a more relaxed trip. Not to worry. When you get there, it's almost like an all-inclusive resort type of vacation. Yeah. You don't have to worry about stuff.
And if you want to order something more expensive that's included in the plan, then you don't have to stress about it and be like, oh, I feel so guilty for ordering the most expensive thing. Nah, it's a credit. Just get it.
I could see that where if you've already paid for it, you're just going to go and say, yeah, I want the T-bone or, whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah. And especially if you're thinking you want to get the most out of your money or get the cocktail that costs $20. Right. Something like that.
Right. Another pro is that it can be very easy to use, especially quick service where you can just scan your band and it automatically takes off the credits when you pay. So, that's just, especially kid groups, like cheer groups or sports groups, so they go on their own but they can add the dining plan. They don't need a credit card. They can just scan their band and eat. You know what I mean? It's so easy. You can also keep track of credits that are remaining on MDE, or at the bottom of your receipts, it'll tell you how many is left.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool.
And I also think if you're gonna do a lot of character meals, this would work out well because I think that's a lot of families use it for that reason.
I would.
Yeah,
I definitely would. Yeah, and I think if I had the dining plan, if we decided to get it one time, I literally would get the most expensive thing on the menu.
Oh, absolutely.
Just because it was available, just because I could. I know we just talked about that before, but if there's a dish that's $50, and before I'd be like, I don't know if I want to spend $50. Now I'd be like, heck yes, I'm spending $50.
If we got the dining plan and you were like, I'd like a salad, I'd be like, she needs a minute. I think what she meant was
she needs a minute.
She wants the filet mignon with a house salad. But yeah, no, I know what you mean. I'd be the same way where I would be very much tempted to just get the most expensive stuff because it doesn't. You've already paid for it and you're getting, your varying of what you can get on is so much. So yeah, I would agree with that. But
yeah.
So I suppose the pro there could be that you could just be a little bit more, try nicer dishes maybe than you normally would. Since it's already paid for,
Yep.
So,
yep.
I suppose we could talk about some of the cons here.
Okay.
So one would be, in many cases we talk about, it may not actually be a cost-saving thing for your situation. It could be, but I think for many people, it's more of a convenience and not necessarily saving you actual money.
I would agree with that. I think it's more convenience, more of a, I already paid for it, I don't have to worry about it thing, than it is saving any money.
Yeah.
Just looking at the regular Disney dining plan, I'm just going to give an example here. So it's $94 for an adult. So and you have that snack credit. You've got the table service meal. You got the quick service meal. Let's say the snack, you got a Mickey bar. Let's say it was $6. Mm-hmm. Let's say for quick service, you decided to get just a burger and fries. That could cost you $20. Let's say it's $20.
Right.
Okay. That's $26. And then let's say you decide you want to at a table service restaurant. I'm just throwing one in there. Let's say Chef Mickey's. Let's say you go to Chef Mickey's to have the buffet for dinner or for lunch. And I think it's $59 now. Is that right? It's close to it.
It's up there. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're spending, that's $86 right there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you're not saving anything, but it could almost equal out to about as much as you would spend.
Right.
So that's just an example, but I think it could work for those that, again, just want a little bit of a freedom of stress, freedom of choice, I guess. I can choose whatever I want. I don't have to worry about money.
I feel like that's kind of always been the perk of it a little bit. Yeah, so I think another con can be that you may have extra credits left over. Mm-hmm. That can be something that, like we said at the beginning, you're trying to use them all, or you just leave and you don't use them and you basically have just sort of wasted money.
Right.
That's something there.
Like table service, if you don't have time,
Right.
it's gone forever. You don't get that back. Snacks are a little bit easier. You just go in,
True.
get a snack.
Yeah.
So that is another con to the dining plan. Another con that I didn't actually think of till just now. Sometimes cast members aren't especially a fan of dining plan.
I was going to say this because a lot of times when you sit down when it's going on, they'll ask you, are you using the Disney dining plan?
Man, they're going to start asking that again, aren't
and when
they?
you say no, we've had many times where they go, oh, thank God.
Yes, they're like relieved.
So
because, yeah.
I don't think that's going to affect your service necessarily, but I have gotten the impression that the servers and the waitresses and people don't enjoy. I don't know as to why. I mean,
I think it's more complicated on their end.
Probably.
Like they have to make sure that it's all correct and lined up, because then if it's not, then it's back and forth between the
Right.
guest and the server trying to figure out what the problem is.
or people not. Yeah, I could see that being some issues. So yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of people don't realize they have to tip. I'm sure
I've always wondered
an
that
issue
too. And I don't know how much Disney tells people ahead of time.
I don't know.
I'm actually confused as to why they don't offer, like most cruise lines, like just offer something that includes tips.
That would be great.
I mean, I feel like that would make a really easy process, but I don't know. I don't think they offer that way. But some people may forget that they need to tip on that. But yeah.
Yeah.
I would think the other one could be also people, like we mentioned, they could use up all their credits early on in their trip.
Yeah.
And then they're left with,
paying out of pocket.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And people may account for that, but that's just something
Right.
that it does, as much as it can be more carefree or stress free, you still have to keep track of all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
True.
that can just be another thing you're trying to keep track of on your trip. When you already have a trip full of, Genie Plus reservations and lightning lanes and park reservations and park hopping and this, it's again, this is just add to another thing that you have to keep track of on your trip.
Yep.
So,
Truth.
any other cons you can think of or pros that you thought of just now?
Not at the moment. I'm just trying to think of like, is it worth it?
Well, that's the next question.
Yeah.
Is it worth it?
Is it worth it?
And really the correct answer on this is it just depends.
Depends.
There's no way to say it is or isn't, because this is a question when it was going on, I think one of the most common that we would get from people would be, do you think the dining plan is worth it? Again, it just comes down to, I suppose, if it saves you time, if it saves you anxiety, if it makes your trip easier, if it's worth it for you, then yeah. If you're very budget conscious and you want to make sure that you aren't overspending or you have a certain budget, then maybe not. So maybe not the answer people want to hear. It does depend on your situation.
For us specifically, like before we had kids, this is not something we would even consider, because when we go to Disney, we really don't have big appetite. We're usually going, and like we're usually okay with doing snacks or a lot of quick service, and occasionally we'll do table service. But it's just kind of how we've always toured the parks. Now that we're, we have the podcast, we have the kids and everything, and we're doing more of the table service stuff and more like food reviews, it may be more worth it. But I don't know if I would. Worth it in pricing? No. Worth it in like quality of food or quality of experience? Maybe. Yeah.
Well, I can say until our daughter eats more foods in general, yeah. I will say it's not going to be worth it for us, because she eats like 6 things. And she is doing better, but she doesn't eat a wide variety of foods. Yeah. So I would have our time spending about $30 per day on her just to... which I would end up eating it.
Well, and this is a good thing to bring up. So if you add this to your vacation package, or you're an annual pass holder and you add it to your room only package, you have to apply it to everybody in the room.
Right.
You can't just pick and choose who gets it. Like if it's all 4 of us and only Jared and I want it, that they won't do that. It has to be every single person that's booked to stay in your room or that has tickets or whatever the situation is. Yeah. So that also can be a con, especially if you have children that eat like birds mm-hmm. or are very picky, and then just there's so much wasted food. That could also be kind of a drawback.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I just feel like in general it doesn't end up saving you money. If I were to take a guess, I mean, if you're going to say worth it, I think in most situations you're not going to save more money. But if it allows you to have a better quality vacation, then okay. But again, if you're going to eat all these foods, you got to think too that is time out of the parks, like we were saying in our situation. So if you want to spend more time in the parks, and not as much doing table service, the dining plan may not be something that you would get value out of because of that reason.
So I agree with you, but only for the Disney Dining Plus and the deluxe one that's no longer offered.
The quick service one, maybe.
Quick service would be better for that, but like those two ones that had like so many table service credits and like you would basically be eating table service every single meal. Like, no, I wouldn't recommend that unless you're like a huge foodie.
But some people go to Disney just to eat.
Absolutely.
So in that situation,
absolutely. You can also use your snack credits. I forgot to mention that. You've got to use your snack credits at Epcot festivals at the booths.
Yeah.
You can use those. And if you notice, sometimes on the menus, you will see that Disney Dining Plan little box that says that it's qualified for the plan, which we've been seeing for literally 3 years and no dining plan. So I was like, why are they putting those on there still? But yeah, so if those qualify for a snack credit, you can use your snack credit for one of those, which is also cool.
Yeah.
I do like that. So that is a pro.
Yeah.
That is a pro for that one. But for us right now, where we are, not worth it for us. Would we try it if free dining came around? Perhaps.
That's the thing I want. Like, I do wonder if Disney ends up pulling that back out. Because if you remember, Disney did the free dining plan or offered it whenever after 9/11 to get people to come back. Mm-hmm. I feel like Disney likes having it. But again, as it went on, it became more restrictive as, time went on. So that's something they could always turn back on if, they feel like they ever need it.
Here's another con, not for the person buying the package necessarily, but for everybody else. Dining plan, like the prevalence of dining plan also affects how easy it is to get dining reservations. Because if more people are buying the dining plan and have all of these like credits to use and that more people are going to be eating in the restaurants, it can be harder to find reservations.
Yes, very true.
That is a unintended consequence. I don't know if that's unintended, but yeah, so I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think the answer to that is it depends. It depends, and that's coming from us on. Yeah, I guess that's what we would say about it. So
yeah,
but if you do have questions about it, and like, there's plenty of people, especially if you're in Club 32. There's a lot of people that eat a lot when they go to Disney, or even in the main group. Joining the Facebook group or joining Club 32 is a great place to ask those questions because a lot of people have used it and can answer, from personal experience and all those things as well. So, I mean, I can see us, on maybe a kid-free weekend, sometime you and I using it, trying it out. So we didn't discuss this, and it just came to mind. I'm assuming, how many nights, is there a minimum you have to purchase? You can't just get this for like one night, correct?
I think you have to do it for 3 nights, I think is the minimum.
That's what I was assuming. Okay. So I suppose if we're ever there on a kid-free, which for us would be a rare 3-night thing, we might try it for that. I mean, we usually only stay for like 2 nights max, especially when we're with the kids. But yeah, that's something to keep in mind as well. You can't just get this for, like, if you're there for 5 nights, you can't just get this for 1 night. You have to get it for the length of your stay, I believe.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you have to get for the extra stay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing. It's either a pro or a con in that case. So we may try it one of these days. We'll see. I mean, I think as your kids get older, it may be more sense and be easier to do.
Until they're 10.
Right.
and then they're adults and you're like,
you're on your own, kid.
Right.
but yeah, so our ultimate conclusion is it depends.
It does depend.
It depends on your situation. So,
all right.
But yeah, I think that was some good information that we went through, at least, help lay out, what it looks like coming back.
Yeah.
And you can do all the math and, whether it works for you in your situation if you're thinking about doing it. So.
Yeah.
All right. So before we get to our Shula's review, we do have a poll time.
Poll time. So this week's poll time actually goes into what we discussed earlier with booking vacations for 2024. So I asked in the poll this week, where is it? Oh. So I asked in the poll this week, who will be booking their 2024 trip very soon? And here are the results. 46% said yes, I will be, but not right away. 29% said me. I guess that means they're going to be booking soon. And then 25% said not me. So a quarter of people are not booking 2024 yet. But everybody else is thinking about it or is biting the bullet quickly. So
Okay.
just a spread of information. I was just curious to see like how excited people were to get their vacations booked for next year, or if there was kind of like a little bit of like a lull in bookings. So,
I feel like this year, at least without having looked at past, which we don't have, like, we have to actually go through a bunch of posts years ago in the Facebook group or something. But I feel like there's more people just kind of like a wait and see kind of mentality.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, travel's kind of up in the air.
There's a lot of reasons. I mean, economically, it's
Yeah.
a lot different than it was, obviously, in like 2019.
Yeah.
And, you got inflation and everything like that. So I think a lot of people are, or if they're going, they may just say, we'll go for a weekend.
Right.
Or something like that. So,
yeah.
So.
Well, anyway, thank you everybody for participating in the poll this week. I will have a new poll next week.
Yes, if you want to be a part of the next poll time, you can do it in two ways. I guess one way would be a courier pigeon, but that's always risky. So they're
what are you talking
their
about?
delivery times are random.
Oh my!
But the best two ways would be to join the Capture the Magic Facebook community, or you can also do it on Instagram over at Cap the Magic, and Jamie posts those in the stories there. So either way, probably not courier pigeon, but the other two ways probably pretty reliable. So go check them out. Go do those.
Okay.
All right. Speaking of courier pigeon.
Oh my.
Not really. Let's talk about Shula's Steakhouse, where we ate, and we will review now.
Yeah, so we were not eating there alone. We were with a group, and we didn't book this. We were just kind of joining in. So this isn't going to be a very long review.
We did try a lot of foods, though.
We did try a lot of foods,
So,
which I was happy about.
Yeah, I think we can give a pretty well-rounded. I mean, me as somebody, this is, if you're not aware, obviously this is Shula's Steakhouse.
Right.
I am I'm a fan of steak. I would include it as a hobby.
Just like Captain Obvious over there.
I'm just saying, if you listed hobbies, it'd be like many things, and then like steak, that would be a hobby of mine. So I feel like I can talk about this at least. Like, I'm not a foodie, but when it comes to steaks and meats, I'm like I have some thoughts. So, but we'll talk real quick on Shula's. This is, I know you didn't know this. I don't know how many people do. This is actually Don Shula's like steakhouse, which is the coach of the Dolphins. If you watched football, he had the perfect season back in 1972. I think he passed in 2020, but he's a Hall of Fame football coach.
Yeah, I didn't know who he was.
Yeah,
I didn't know what Shula's was. I until I saw a bunch of pictures all over the walls, and I was like, I think that's something to do with football.
Well, you sat there and you went, "Why is there football over the wall?" I'm like, "It's Don Shula," and you're like, "Who?" I'm like, "I know, It's okay." But yeah.
Sorry.
So that's good. So, and ironically enough, Don Shula was the coach of the Dolphins.
And it's
located in the lobby of the Dolphin. I don't know if they meant to do that, but
oh my gosh, do you think they did?
I don't know. But I was talking to a friend of ours, and he said the Shula's is a chain of restaurants.
Yeah,
and that they're always located off of hotel lobbies, like of nice hotels. So
this is just a really cool coincidence.
I don't know. Maybe they saw the Dolphin opening and they were like, we need to be there. I don't know. But anyways, so that's something there. This would be considered a signature restaurant by Disney standards.
I mean, I would think so. I mean, for prices alone,
it's very fancy.
It's very fancy.
To the point I walked in, I went, "Oh, I don't belong here."
I literally, we were getting dressed to go to dinner. I was like, did you bring like stuff that's not t-shirts? He was like, yeah, I did. I grabbed, I think he grabbed like polo or something. I was like, phew. Cause I looked on the website and it said like no shirts with like graphics on it. I was like, oh, dang, that's like our uniform. Daily uniform.
We primarily basically wear C-Team apparel.
Pretty much.
At cteamshirts.com.
This is true.
But I did wear I wore a nice polo shirt. So there.
Yeah.
So this is only open for dinner. This is from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. Mm-hmm. And we actually had a little semi-private table. I guess you would call it. It was in a little room. It had a TV in there, which I don't know what the TV was for because I'm not imagining this place is a place where you could put the game on.
No, like I think it's for like semi-private dinners, like a rehearsal dinner, wedding thing, stuff like that. Like
game film, going over game tape.
Okay, okay.
I'm just saying.
There's
it's a football coach.
There's no football being played in the restaurant.
You could do games. Listen, who knows? Maybe they.
But
that's what it's used for.
When we first walked in, we just take an immediate left, and there is it's a little room, and it was a big table. I think it's a table of like 10 or 12.
It probably could have hit 12.
Yeah, we had like 9. So
yeah,
so it was kind of nice to have that space because we did have 4 children with us.
Well, we actually didn't have any children.
No, we didn't.
Ironically enough,
that never happens.
Which I'm glad to be like, oh no.
Right.
Like I feel like places like this when you have children, you're just like, oh no. But nothing against them, but it's just small kids and nice restaurants don't always go hand in hand, but sometimes they do. But all right, like I said, since we ate with other people, we kind of ended up sharing dishes around, so we actually got to try a lot of things. So I think we can give a pretty good review on this.
Do you just want to like go down the list from the menu? Just saying.
Do I ever?
Okay, great.
That is exactly what I was gonna say. In fact, kudos to you. That was a great job.
Snaps
you read my
Jamie.
mind.
Yes.
Snaps for Jamie. I need to get that sound. Snaps for Jamie. All right, so here are some things that we got here. On the starters, you have the New Orleans style shrimp. This is Cajun spice shrimp, lemon, garlic butter, and toasted
crostinis.
Yes.
It was $22.
Again, this place is pricey. $22. This is a starter.
How many shrimp did you get?
4, maybe 5. I think it was 4 though.
That's not very many.
But they were big. They were big. I will say they were really big shrimp. I will say that.
I did not try this because I don't like Cajun.
We'll talk about what we thought you think before we do.
Oh, okay.
Do you want to talk about it now?
I want to talk about it now.
Okay. This New Orleans style shrimp was amazing.
Okay.
The best shrimp I've ever had in my life. I'm not a big shrimp person. I'm not a big seafood person. This was stupid good.
Okay,
like,
so what was good about it? Like, what made it so good?
It didn't at first. It didn't taste fishy at all.
And you don't like fish, so that's good.
Right. It didn't. Sometimes with like shrimp, it depends how you cook it. It can be kind of tough as well. It was super tender. The flavor, like the Cajuns, like whatever spices they had in this, and it kind of at the bottom of it had a little bit of like it was like the sauces it was cooked in was at the bottom of it because they gave you pieces of toasted bread in there, and you can dip it in there. It was fantastic. It was. I mean, again, this is the best shrimp I've ever had.
That's awesome.
It was great. I have no complaints. I would eat this. If you were like, let's give you an entire 20 of these things.
Highly recommend from Jared.
I would eat an entire plate of these things. Okay. And I will say, I've had some things from Shula's in the past. I remember this. I went last year at the meetup. I did the Food and Wine Classic over at Swan and Dolphin.
Oh, yeah.
And Shula's was there. So places like they set up booths and have restaurants. Shula's was one of them. So I have had their steak before this dinner. Got it. I remember it being very good. So the other thing we had here on the starter side was the thick cut Nusix bacon, I believe is what it's called.
Nusix.
And this is $21. This is bourbon, honey glaze, tomato jam, cheddar grits, white cabbage, and fennel slaw. So what this is pork belly.
It's really good.
Because bacon, if you don't know this, is pork belly.
It was really good.
Been cooked. Yeah, this was fantastic.
Fantastic. That bourbon honey glaze on it. It wasn't very big, which is not a shocker. But
the serving sizes on these, the fancier places you go, the serving sizes get smaller, which has always been a thing. Coming from somebody growing up, mind you, going out to Applebee's was a big deal.
Big deal, especially in Jared's
world. We're going to Applebee's. Like, oh, man.
Well, I didn't get to try the grits. I didn't try that part. I just tried the actual bacon.
I had a little bit of it. It was okay. I'm not a huge fan of grits, but again, most of the stuff here, if I were to guess, it's really good. So it was fine. It tasted good. I wasn't complaining.
Yeah. Recommend that one. Another 3 starters or another option you can get. So you can get a tuna tartare. There's also a colossal shrimp cocktail, and you can also get Maryland style crab cake.
Yes.
So
Let's move on to soups and salads. So,
I can tell you what I got.
what did you get?
Okay, so I got the French onion soup. That was $14. And it's, okay, I'll just describe it, but everybody knows what it is. Caramelized onions and croutons and a rich beef broth with, how do you say that word? Gruyere and provolone cheese. This was delicious. And it was weird. It stayed hot for a very long time, which I was very happy about because I don't like it when the cheese gets hard.
Right.
The cheese did not harden. This was a great bowl of French onion soup for $14. Is it the best I've ever had? It is not.
Oh.
It is not the best I've ever had. The best I've ever had was at Chef de France.
Okay.
And
I remember you really
was it like
that
2 years ago?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
That was delicious. But this was a very good French onion soup, so I would recommend that. I also had the Caesar salad, which was $15, and romaine lettuce, croutons, Parmesan cheese, and then the Caesar dressing. It was a decent Caesar salad. However, the pieces of lettuce were huge, like giant. I'm like, I had to cut my lettuce before I ate it, which is kind of like, okay, whatever. But it was delicious. Great Caesar salad. No
complaints.
Had some of
the salad. The salad was good.
Decent salad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I tried some of the French onion soup. I'm not a big fan of French onion soup. It was good, but again, I'm not a big soup person.
I know
myself,
you're not a soup person, but this was perfect for me. Like, you think you go to a steakhouse, you got steak. We had been literally we had been drinking all day on the Skyliner crawl, and I was just not hungry anyway. So the soup and salad pairing was just perfect for me. So I was happy.
When it says
that.
drinking, it wasn't all alcoholic. We just hadn't had any food really all day.
Right, but we did have more drinks than usual.
True.
I'm a lightweight. Jared.
No, that's very true.
I'm a lightweight.
And we also weren't wanting to, spend like $300.
This is true. But we got to kind of sample the things, so it was fine.
We did, yeah. So other salads you can get, and soups and salads here, they have tomato burrata salad, a wedge salad, and a Shula's house salad. Mm-hmm. So all these things are like $15, $16. So,
yeah.
Move on. Now, we didn't have any of the entrees here. We just ended up having the steak, or I say we, it was people we were with, we shared. The entrees you can get here, half roasted chicken, Coach's cut prime rib, Maryland style crab cakes, Norwegian salmon, miso glazed halibut, and then a daily market fish, which is market price. So these go anywhere from $38 up to $54 on the entrees. Mm-hmm. Then the next, what we had was from the grill for the steaks here. So again, this is a signature dining style restaurant here. So the steaks start at $68. So we had, I think what we had was all filet mignon.
Yeah.
So,
two people ordered fillets, and they kind of didn't finish, so they were like, "Who else wants one?"
I kind of got plopped on my plate. I was like, "Okay, fine." I can say steak wise. Well, I guess what did you think about it?
So I thought, I tried a steak that was medium well, and that's exactly how I like my steaks. Mm-hmm. And I thought that it was very good. I will say that I have gotten spoiled by Jared and all of his grilling and using the smoker and the Blackstone lately, because I really like the spices and the rubs and the everything he uses. So when I had the steak, while it was tender and it was juicy and it was good, I missed the flavoring that you use.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, places like this they get really high cuts of meat.
I understand that.
They probably just use salt and pepper.
I totally understand that, and that's why I say it is a delicious steak, but I missed the other flavors that we usually get at home if I had to choose.
Yeah. So I would. Yeah. First thing I would say is you can tell they're very good cuts of meat.
Very good.
As steaks go, this is the dilemma I get into about eating steaks. While it was good, very tender, I had one that was more medium. I probably had 4 or 5, 6 bites, something like that. It was very good. I prefer the way that I make steaks.
That's probably a good thing.
I'm just saying in general, I do like a little bit more. I've become accustomed to the seasonings, like you were saying, and things like that. Now, this is very good. I'm not saying it's not good at all.
Oh, no.
I would say between here and the Yachtsman is going to be the best steak on property, probably. Both are delicious. Mm-hmm. I would probably, the filet mignon is good. I've gotten to the point I kind of would rather have like, rib eyes and things like that. So, but as steaks go, it was great. It was fantastic. You could cut into it with a fork if you wanted to.
Yeah.
I even used like a butter knife and it worked. So super tender, cooked perfectly. When they come to the table, the waiter, which we'll talk about the service in a minute, the waiter literally has a flashlight, tells you to cut into it to make sure that it is exactly what you wanted. So they take all that really serious.
Yeah.
I mean, I if they would have said, no, this wasn't, how we wanted, I'm sure he would have been like, I will fix that. I'll be right back.
Right.
So, but yeah, I mean, flavorful, good steaks, everything like that. It was, no complaints there.
And some of the other cuts you can get a prime New York strip for $72. That's 16 ounce. You can get a 22 ounce cowboy ribeye for $75. You can get a 24 ounce black Angus porterhouse for $70. And you can get a 42 ounce prime tomahawk for $155.
That's a lot of steak.
And then it says Oscar style any steak for $14. I don't know what that means exactly. But just, go and being prepared to spend a lot for steak if that's what that's what you're wanting. But it was quite delicious.
To answer your question, so basically Oscar style any steak is like an additional cost onto the steak. So it's an extra $14. So
right.
I'm looking this up here. It says Oscar style is typically made using a filet mignon, beef tenderloin, or similar cut of meat. It is topped with emulsified butter sauce such as Béarnaise or Hollandaise, and either jumbo, lump crab, or lobster meat. So basically it becomes a surf and turf.
Got it.
Type of thing. So
okay.
And you can get sauces with this for an extra $5. So you can do that. But yeah, to sum up, at first, as a steakhouse, a signature style, the steaks are fantastic. You will, if you're into steaks, you'll like these.
Yes.
Put it that way. So
yes.
All right, let's talk about sides here.
Okay.
We had a few. What are the ones we had here? I know we had macaroni and cheese.
We had the mac and cheese, cavatappi pasta, Gouda and cheddar cheese sauce with breadcrumbs.
Amazing.
$14. Oh, everything's a la carte here, by the way.
Yeah, there's no sides with this.
So you have to buy the sides.
Like I said, it is a pricey place.
Yeah.
But this macaroni and cheese was fantastic.
I did not try this. I'm not a fan of mac and cheese.
It was so good. It was really, yeah. I would eat that. Honestly, I'm a simple man. You give me that with the steak, I'd be happy.
Okay, question. This mac and cheese or the mac and cheese at Homecoming?
This one.
Really?
This one was better. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. We also had mashed potatoes, which is just garlic and butter mashed potatoes. $13. Very good.
Amazing. It was
very good.
Fantastic.
No complaints. Then we got Brussels sprouts, caramelized Brussels sprouts for $14, and they had bacon, onions, and lemon juice on them. And I'm not a fan of Brussels sprouts, but I did try them, and it was really good. It was really good.
I didn't try these, so
it's because they were caramelized too. I think helped.
Anything
very flavorful.
Anything will help Brussels sprouts, typically speaking.
Okay, but anyway, so we didn't have any dessert or anything, but like I said, we did get to sample quite a bit, and I mean, it was a delicious meal. Yeah,
I was gonna say, what were your thoughts overall? First off, I just want to say thank you to Courtney and Rebecca. And Jason there, because they shared a lot of their food with us. We just went there. It was a birthday dinner. We're just a happy birthday, and they insisted we try things. So that they wanted us to be able to review a lot of things. So
that was nice.
It was very nice, and it was delicious.
And,
so
she did get a birthday dessert, like a chocolate.
Oh, they did bring out a little chocolate, a cake, or a flourless.
Was that what it was?
Flourless cake. Is what
okay,
it was,
so we had that. But yeah, it was a very delicious meal. Very fancy. And it was, I wasn't especially like hungry when we went, so I would say if you want to try this, go a little bit hungry. Yeah,
that'd be ideally, especially for the money you're going to spend.
For sure.
I will say.
Would I go back? Yeah, I think I would. Again, it's the cost, especially for us, just because we don't tend to spend a lot of money on table service very often. Because the steaks are so pricey. Yes, we would go back, but this would be a very occasional thing, like a special occasion kind of thing.
Yeah. As it goes, I mean, it's delicious. It's absolutely fantastic. Which we hadn't talked about yet before, but the service is fantastic.
Oh yeah.
It's like one of those places where they have a team of people. So there's like 2 or 3 people constantly. Like if you were low on your water or anything, they're right there. So service wise, fantastic. Everything was great.
And they use that little crumb catcher.
They did use a crumb catcher.
Anytime I see a crumb catcher, I'm like, oh, we fancy. We fancy here.
This is true. I mean, obviously these prices, you're going to assume a certain level of service, and they definitely know that and do that.
Yeah.
So it's delicious. Whether or not you think that's worth it depends on, again, this is like if you're a foodie type person or not. I can say it is delicious. Would I eat here again? Yeah, I would. Mm-hmm. But again, like a special occasion type place. But if you're looking for a fancy dinner, if you're looking for like an anniversary dinner, or let's say you're going to ask somebody to marry you and you want to do it in private in that room in there, maybe that's the place to do it.
All right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Or you just, you want to have a good steak. You're not going to be disappointed here. So I think you would thoroughly enjoy it. So yeah, it's there's no like downsides to this other than it's just expensive.
It's just the price.
Yeah, I mean
everything else was so good. Yeah. Oh, you had some wine. Did you try some wine?
I have no idea what it was. They got it and insisted I drink some. Listen,
Great.
I could tell you the difference was doing like bourbons and things, but when it comes to wine, it all kind of tastes the same to me. It was good. It wasn't like overly sweet. I couldn't tell you. I don't remember what it was that was ordered, but
all right.
I know that they pour it for you, and it's done done very fanciful. So, yeah, all in all, it's great. I have no qualms. Again, the only downside I would say is if you go into this and it would just be, if you're not expecting it, you could have sticker shock at the price. But it at that level though, you're getting really, really good food and good service. So,
yep,
solid. Got no add to it. It's really good.
All right.
And they have meats. So
all right.
There you go. So, all right. Well, that'll do it for the show. Just want to mention, if you want even more content from us, check out Club 32, ctmvip.com. We have exclusive content, live streams, 20% off of CTM apparel and 1901 Candle Company products, private Facebook group, a private Discord. And we were going to start next week. We're going to set up where we're going to start doing the CTM at the movies. We're going to do watch parties for like the 90s sitcoms where they go to Disney.
Yeah, we are.
And see if they make any sense, which they probably won't, because they treat it all. You're just hopping between parks as if it's one park. And then Uncle Jesse sings a song somewhere, I'm sure, in there. But I remember parts of it. But anyways, we're gonna do that starting next week. Get that all set up. But it's a good time, and always a good time there. So if you're interested in there, you can go to ctmvip.com. And go check that out. And yeah, so if you want any more, like I said, follow us on social media. We have at CapTheMagic on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and we have vlogs. And we have vlogs coming out weekly now, and we have a separate YouTube channel just for the podcast episodes, which are at CTM Podcast. So if you want to subscribe to both, please do so.
Yes.
And we do have a TikTok. It's at Capture the Magic, which I think I'm going to change that to just make them all at Cap the Magic. That's like the only one that's just different.
Okay.
So I think I'll probably do that eventually, but right now it's at Capture the Magic. And if you want to check out some of the other shows on the network, we have the CTM Universal show, which we had one just come out on Tuesday, where we talked about the Jurassic Park Tribute Store and Sapphire Falls, where we stayed there recently, and talk about Minions Land that is opening this summer. Some things that was announced there as well. And Jamie has Trip Tales, which is your Trip Report show. And when's the next one there coming out?
It won't be coming out until a couple weeks, like 3 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want to be on Trip Tales, though, you can go to ctmtriptales.com, and there's a button that says Be on Trip Tales. And Jimmy's looking for trips starting in August?
August, yep.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, go check that out there. And it's a really great resource. Got some trips coming up. You get some firsthand knowledge on those as well. So,
yes, sir.
All right. Well, I think that'll do it. So thank you, everybody, for listening and or watching. And thank you, Jamie, for joining us.
Thank you.
And as Jamie always likes to say,
we will see you in the parks.
Bye.